When I reviewed Sam and Max Save the World back in 2020, I was left with a lot of hope. I knew that if the first 6 episodes were going to get remastered, then it was only a matter of time before we saw the far superior second and third seasons on modern consoles. And sure enough, almost exactly 1 year later, that's exactly what happened. Sam and Max Beyond Time and Space has finally come to the Switch and other platforms in a nice new compilation that improves on the graphics and enhances the gameplay. By building on the best elements of the first season and upping the stakes in every conceivable way, this over-the-top middle chapter is Sam and Max at their very best. And this compilation is the best way to relive the 5 explosive episodes that make up Season 2. I think it's fair to say that the first season of Sam and Max was under a lot of pressure. Not only was it a long-awaited sequel to a beloved point-and-click adventure game, but it was also designed to sell the world on the concept of playing episodic games released over the course of several months. This was Telltale's entire model, and a Sam and Max failure would have resulted in a lot of unhappy fans, as well as episodic games that might never have even been made. Thankfully, Sam and Max Save the World proved to be popular enough to warrant testing the waters with other franchises, which included everything from Back to the Future, to The Wolf Among Us, to The Walking Dead. It also led to a sharper and better written second season for Sam and Max. Having worked out some of the bugs and repetition from the first 6 episodes, the rejuvenated writers and developers attacked the second season with a level of confidence and know-how that only comes from learning from your mistakes. The result is a masterfully crafted journey that takes us beyond, well, time and space. Without spoiling too much, the story picks up right after the events of the first season. Max is still technically the president, Bosco is more paranoid than ever, and Sybil has somehow continued her romantic relationship with the head of the Lincoln Memorial statue. In other words, it's just another boring week for a couple of freelance detectives. But don't worry, their cartoony world is about to be turned upside down as the crime fighters take on a case regarding Santa Claus, who has turned evil and seems to be in the middle of a shooting spree. This is just the start of a crazy season that sees Sam and Max help out a bunch of Moai statues, defeat a zombie apocalypse, and even get abducted by aliens. It won't take long before our heroes are literally time-traveling through some of the franchise's greatest moments, which includes everything from seeing the crime fighters as senior citizens to going back to episodes from the first season. Let me tell you, this is a duo is ready to tear down the timeline as they are to break the fourth wall, and I loved every second of it. Like I said, this is a more confident team that learned from their mistakes. This is a season full of callbacks and subtle references, many of which won't be paid off until the finale. The way the threads all come together will make you immediately want to go back through the entire season combing for clues and nods. Those odd moments and comments that happened early in the season are paid off in glorious ways. And the way the season ends is satisfying in a way that you just won't even see coming. This is a big step up from the first season, which took a few episodes to find its footing. Now, the sharp storytelling isn't the only reason why Beyond Time and Space excels over Save the World, because this is a season that understands the importance of discovering a lot of different locations. Every single episode has a unique set piece that makes it stand out from the rest of the chapters. For example, we'll spend a lot of time in Santa's workshop in the Christmas-themed first episode, only to follow that up with a trip to a tropical island one episode later. Each of these settings takes us far away from Sam and Max's office and the city block with all their friends, and the storytelling is better for it. And even when we're forced to go back and deal with Bosco's paranoia or sift through the office, there's usually something new and unique for us to look at. Every location is more interesting than what we saw in the first season, even when we're literally going back to the places from the first season. Sam & Max Beyond Time and Space also adds some new faces and mini-games to help shake things up. My favorite addition to the cast is a young restaurant owner named Stinky, who may or may not have killed the old guy that used to run the place. I also like that the old computer, arcade cabinet, and answering machine from the first season are back to force you to play a bunch of driving mini-games. There's definitely a lot more variety to the gameplay this time around, including a DJ booth that puts you in control of the dance floor, and even a boxing match with a bunch of rats. This does a good job of breaking up the typical point-and-click action, which remains mostly unchanged from the first season. Much like in Sam & Max Save the World, the point-and-click gameplay is easy to control in this remastered season. The game lets you control Sam with one analog stick, all while you choose what you want to interact with by using the other stick. What I really like about this port is how you can see dots representing everything that you can touch, talk to, or pick up. This is not one of those graphic adventures where you'll need to poke at every pixel just to find the item that you need, because the developers have done a great job of making everything obvious. They also don't have you combining very many items, and most of the puzzles actually make sense, even if some of the logic is a little wonky. And that's not the only thing that carries over from the remastered first season, because Sam & Max Beyond Time and Space also looks fantastic. The cartoony characters and over-the-top locations are beautifully detailed and always fun to discover. Even when you think you know what's going to happen next, the game always finds a way to flip things on their side. And when it's not a sight gag, it's with the clever writing and outrageous jokes. Let me tell you, the season is so funny that you'll actually go out of your way to talk to everybody and interact with everything, no matter if it advances the story or not. I mean, when was the last time you did that in a point-and-click adventure game? Sharp, biting, and always rude, Sam & Max Beyond Time and Space is a hilarious season that'll keep you in stitches with its jokes and originality. The developers have been able to build on everything that made the first season so good, all while adding new characters, new mini-games, and new locations to the mix. These 5 episodes are among the best of Sam & Max cases, and they look absolutely incredible in this brand new remastered collection. They also control well on home consoles thanks to the intuitive gameplay. And now, with the first 2 seasons out, I have my fingers crossed for an upgraded version of the Devil's Playhouse in 2022. Don't let me down, Skunkape Games. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite episodic series? Are you a Sam & Max fan? Do you prefer The Walking Dead? Perhaps you're more new school and are all about Life is Strange and The Council. Oh, who am I kidding? Nobody played The Council. Anyway, let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back on Friday with our next episode of Superplay's Top 600. We'll be exactly halfway through the series. Can you believe it? Only 6 episodes after that, which means that there's not a whole lot of time left in 2021. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.